Hey everyone. I posted a video on my channel about the equipment that I took on hiking trips, which I haven't really done in a couple years now. So I was going over that video the other day and I realized I hadn't done anything on my portage trips. So I'm just going to go quickly over all the equipment I take with me. So we're going to step into the garage here and we're going to go over the clothing, the equipment, and some of the knickknacks I bring with me. So here's some of the tools and pieces I carry in my pack. This is minus the kitchen gear. I'll get into that in a moment. But we'll start with my sleep system. So I do use a Hennessy hammock Explorer Deluxe Zip. I don't like the center access. I do prefer the zip model. This is an excellent lightweight tool. Solo or in a group, I prefer to use Hennessy hammocks. And this has the snake skins on. It's all rolled up in there, easy to deploy. So I have the tree huggers here. I also have, I think, one or two ground stakes in there for the tarp, and just a carabiner so I can hook it to things, hanging on a tree, etc. Sleeping pad. This is the Kelty. That's the one I had before, Kelty Recluse 2.5. I haven't seen it at a store anywhere near me in a while, but I do like it. You pump it up by hand. In the colder months, I will use this in the hammock. In the warmer months, I don't feel I require it. So this is just a mech guide tarp. It's what's the dimensions here? 2.1 meters by 2.9 meters. A little small if you have multiple people, but by yourself or in a twosome. This is plenty big enough to get you out of the rain. Easy to deploy. And I actually, you can see, I have ropes pre-tied to all four corners, so it's very quick to deploy. I've done it for lunch breaks, or in the morning when you wake up, set it up before breakfast if it's raining. Easy to deploy, easy to take down. So this is my Woods, I think I got a Canadian Tire. This is my rain jacket. I don't bring rain pants. I don't really see the point of them. I don't mind getting my pants wet. I usually have something to change out of, and we'll get into the clothes in a minute. But the rain jacket is a must. I've used it quite a bit, and that's the rain jacket there. So I typically bring two sections of paracord. One will always be hung up as a bear bag. The other one is like a spare. Many uses for paracord, so I bring lots of it. So I think it's maybe 50 feet, 2 coils of 50 feet. My tools, I also have a large knife on my backpack. It's the Bear Grylls, I don't even know how long it is, 8 inches maybe. Pretty heavy duty knife, rarely use it. For the everyday tasks, I have a little switchblade, Gerber knife, Bear Grylls as well, but excellent make, retains an edge well, and pretty good knife. I've had it for several years now, so it's holding up well. This is I don't know what the make is, but it's a pruning saw that I got from Lowe's. I've had it since my hiking days, several years. It's still pretty sharp, very robust. I usually bring this. I don't like bringing a full-size saw, because really you're not cutting anything too big. But this is right up the size that you need to cut the wood that you're going to actually be burning on a camping trip. Pretty small stuff. And this is my Grand Forest Brooks axe. You can see the Smith TT. Very nice axe. I don't really know what else to say. It's a very good quality axe. Retains an edge. Perfect tool. So really, that's all I need there to prepare tinder, wood, and get fires going. I don't need much more than that. So I always carry a first aid kit. I think I just bought it Canadian Tire maybe, and then this is the same one I had before. I've taken some things out of it, added more gauzes and tapes and band-aids, that sort of thing, a lot more iodine, because I find that's what I end up using out there. To clean cuts and tend medium to small cuts is basically what it's for me. I think there's some water tablets possibly in there too. Pretty standard stuff. So this is my bug jacket. It's a full jacket that goes over your head and your whole upper body. It's one piece. Very light, compact. It's a savior on some of the portages and sitting at night. Typically, everything you see here and here will go in this clear dry sack. So headlamp, always bring a headlamp or some source of light, but headlamp preferably, and always change the batteries before you go if you aren't sure of how much is left. I bring a compass, several lighters. I usually bring a glow stick. They're very light. Why not, really? So this is actually water tablets, and this is like a muscle relaxant, like Robaxacet. So in case you wake up and you're near crippled with, yesterday's portage back, that'll really get you going in the morning. And just water tablets in case everything to my right here fails. In a pinch, you can purify water. Deodorant, gets hot and sweaty. There's biodegradable soap. The cream Muscal, I prefer that over the sprays. I just find it stays, it lasts longer and prevents bugs better. So I'm a cream guy. And then toothpaste and toothbrush. Just waking up, having a swim or dunk in your head refreshes you, but not as much. When you get a clean mouth, it's perfect out there. So we're almost done this table now. I just want to show you my water purification setup I have. So I do typically, a little overkill, but I like and love the Canoeing Hiker Pro. So inside this bag is my Hiker Pro. It's perfect. It's reliable, pumps just as much as you need. But I've moved to this system here now. It's a gravity filter. So it's essentially like this dromedary, which is closed at the top. It's basically just a water bladder. So it's very similar to this with an open top that you dunk in the water as your dirty bag, and it goes through an inline filter and filters into this bag. So I want to say this is a 6-liter gravity filter, MSR gravity filter. So fill that several minutes later and hang it up. Several minutes later you have a full dromedary full of water. So it's very little effort, same gain. Where the Canoeing you have to sit there and pump and it takes a while. One person, the Canoeing is perfect. Maybe 2 people, not bad. But when you're pumping water for 4 people, you find you're constantly pumping water. So that's where the Lazy Man gravity filter comes in. Makes just setting up camp and prepping for dinner much easier. So this is my bag. I got it from Canadian Tire, just a Ridgeway by Kelty. I got it a long time ago, probably 4 years ago, and it's actually holding up quite well. Only a couple little rips and tears. I think the zipper fell off here, so I tied it up like a shoe. But I want to say this is a 75 or an 80-liter bag. It doesn't really look it here, but it's perfect. For the summer, spring, summer, fall, it is the perfect size. Winter, it's on the hiking in the winter, it's a little small for that. Bulkier items. I do use a sled, but I find this bag, I wish it was just a little bit bigger for the winter, but for canoeing and everything else, it's perfect. I got side pockets here on both sides, nice big compartment for my sleeping bag, and a top pouch here that works perfectly. So that's some of the gear I bring. Sleep system, the tools I bring, plus all my odds and ends and smelly goods and things. Usually I put a book and my cell phone in the dry bag as well. I always bring a book in case there's a rainy day. It's nice just to get into the hammock on a rainy, windy day and not have to worry about anything, and dig in and get your book and waste a day. My water system, always a must, and my pack. So then I also bring a map case, this NRS Hydrolock case. I think I got it at Trailhead in Kingston. So in this I bring my fishing license, and sometimes the fishing license of my cousin who's with me. I have the stocking lists as well as the season lists for the fish, and the limits. And then I bring usually a Jeff's map on this side. I took it out, but it'd be our day's travel of the Jeff's map put in there. And then on this side, I usually have from my computer, I've printed off like daily travel stuff and noted points of interest. I don't like to draw on my Jeff's maps, but I print these off. It's essentially Jeff's map, but printed, and then I'll note points of interest and write things on this and distances and times and whatnot. My working copy, basically. So I have both. I usually bring a tinfoil fire block in here as well. Anything that I want to bring for the trip long. I sometimes bring star maps, that sort of thing. It all goes in the map case, gets sealed up, and is protected. Next we have my kitchen set. Really, this stays the same whether it's myself or multiple people. Usually no more than 4 is what I'm preparing for. The only thing that will really change is like the condiments that I bring depending on who's going, as well as how many nested pots and bowls I have. So this is my mess kit. It's seen its wear and tear. I've had it quite a while. But the lid, it's not really to be used as a pan, but a lid that fits all the different pots. It's also, I use it as a plate to eat. So depending on how many people, if I go by myself, I bring either no cups or 1 cup. But I'm planning on a trip for 4 people in May, so I'll bring 2 cups, and then the other for my cousin and I, and then the other 2 can fend for themselves. But 2 nested cups, a nested bowl, and 2 pots. So I don't really use both pots. I use the bowl, one of the cups, and the plate lid. 2 pots is a little overkill, but they weigh very little, so I end up bringing them anyway. Just so we have an option. You could boil water, make tea, set it to the side, and then use the other pot to boil more water. So this here and this, so this is just my small frying pan. I think I got it at maybe Canadian Tire or Dollar Store, but it's very non-stick, surprisingly. So I've gone through several pans in the past. This one, as you can see, is all dinged up. It's been used a lot. Fire with my burner, everything. It's just a really nice pan. Nice robust handle, but not too long, really. But it works out well. So typically I put it, with this, and then I stick it in this bag. So the bag that this came in, oh sorry, there's the handle for the pot set, which goes inside. The bag for the mess kit actually disintegrated at some point. So this is just a golf ball bag that I bought some refurbished golf balls, and the pot set fits in there perfectly. I actually prefer it because if it gets wet in any way, the other bags would retain some water and maybe even a puddle in the bottom. This one, it gets wet and it just falls right through. So that's my mess kit, in addition to my titanium spork, long-handled spork. I went through many Light My Fire sporks. They're not durable enough. They break. Where this one here, C2 Summit is perfect. The dehydrated meals, it gets right to the bottom of the bag. You can't really bend it, like a little bit, but it snaps right back. So just a really nice utensil, and I have it carabinered in case I want to put it somewhere and I don't want to lose it. I usually bring 1 Nalgene for everybody in the party. So this would be my Nalgene, and I just wrap duct tape around the end of it. Really, I use typically more than 300 milliliters for the meals I make and stuff like that. So I just put it on the bottom there in case I ever need any patching material or tape. And it's also nice when you put tea in an Nalgene, it gets quite hot. You can hold the bottom of this and you don't burn your fingers. So Nalgene for every person. I also like to bring fresh eggs typically. So my cousin and I will go out and we'll bring 6 eggs, and we'll have 3 each on the first morning. And then you end up carrying this thing around, which is kind of a pain. But it is so nice to have those fresh eggs on the first morning. Really sets the tone. So this is steak spice, but I usually bring several small containers like this. Like I said, depending on who's with me, I like steak spice. I usually bring steaks with me for the first night, but then I'll put it in dehydrated meals. I'll put it on my eggs. Basically just like pepper, and salt, and whatever else is in there. But I really like the steak spice. I also usually bring a hot sauce, maybe a ketchup, and usually if we're having pancakes or bannock, some sort of syrup, maple syrup. So I'll end up having several of these. I think they're being washed currently. So I do some cooking over the fire, but you have to bring some other source of fire. So I bring my stove. I've had this since when I started camping. I bought it on eBay. It's similar to other types of stoves you can get. These open up here. But this was $45 on eBay. It came from Korea, I think, and it's perfect. I've never had it fail on me. It's very lightweight. I also put it in one of these bags and usually nest it in another bag of mine. But this is perfect. And I always bring the large canister. I usually go on longer trips. I'd rather bring too much than not enough. And it's just nice. Even if you're cooking on the fire, you can also fire this guy up and do something else at the same time. You got steaks laying across the grill. You can make coffee or tea or anything else on noodles with this. Boils water very quickly. So that is my kitchen kit. So I have my mess kit here with my utensil. I don't bring a knife other than the knife, my Gerber knife that I've shown you. That's how I cut anything that needs to be cut. So this is my only utensil. And I have my water bottle, my condiments vary, and my stove. Okay, now let's go over what is on the boat for the boating purposes. So I will bring a rope. It's in this bag now, but basically it's the painter rope. I take it out of here and I tie it to the front of the canoe, and it literally just stays there the whole weekend. I use it while I'm portaging. I tie it to the front or the back of the canoe, and as I'm portaging, I'm holding onto the rope to keep the bow down. I naturally weight it so the back goes down, the front goes up. So I'm using the painter to hold the front where I want it, and then walk. So that's basically the painter. I put it in this bag, and when I get there, I take it out and fire it on the canoe and just leave it there. It's a little thicker gauge of rope. So I bring a tackle box. I've pillaged from this between my last trip and now, but I'll stock it up with what I feel I'll need for the trip. It's got a little Leatherman kind of deal in there. But this will go on the top of my pack, right on the top of the pack while I'm hiking. And then I take it with me when I'm fishing, obviously. So small tackle box, not very big, but I fill it with what I think I will need for the trip, what's in season. So I bring a rod. I don't bring a telescopic rod. I used to. I just get one that splits in the middle. So it's a little more dangerous for the rod, but as long as you are careful with it, you're not going to damage it. But I bring a full-size rod. And I don't use the telescopic because I've had several of those break. So this has worked out well for me so far. I always bring a nice sharp fillet knife. It's a must if you're actually going to catch and keep and eat them. You might as well have a nice sharp knife so you can get as much meat off them as possible to make it worth killing the fish. So always a nice sharp fillet knife. I always bring an extra paddle. So this is the paddle here I use the most. It's a nice like beaver tail, otter tail paddle, very light. And then my secondary one is less nice, a little older, a little heavier, but basically just for emergency. I bring this. This is the standard emergency kit, which is a bailing bucket, throw rope, whistle, what have you in there. You must have these in Ontario. I don't know if Canada, but definitely where I'm going in Ontario, you must have this in all boats. So you buy one of these. I usually carabiner it to the front seat, underneath the front seat, and it just stays in there the whole week. Hopefully you don't have to use it. I bring water shoes. Really, it's not a canoe thing, but I put them in the bottom of my bag. They fold up into nothing. You just stuff them into whatever crack you can. But it's nice when you get to the campsite, you take off your shoes, you put these on, your feet dry out, and when you're sitting around the fire quickly, lets you dry out your shoes while you're wearing these, and you can go in and out of the water. You don't really care. So they're just nice to have a secondary piece of footwear that really they weigh very little, and you can fold them into nothing. So you might as well bring them. And my life jacket. So I'm actually looking to get a nice small like paddling jacket. I probably shouldn't admit this, but I rarely wear my life jacket. Usually it's either a seat pad or under my seat, but you must have it in the boat, so I have it tucked away. But when I am crossing large bodies of water in the waves, I'm worried about capsizing. I always throw the life jacket on, but typically when I'm on small lakes or rivers, the life jacket is just in the boat, readily accessible. But life jacket. So that's some of the bits and pieces I have from the canoe. Okay, everyone, now we're into the clothing that I'll wear. So I'm not a big clothing guy. I don't bring a lot of clothes. If I just bring enough that I feel safe, that I'm not going to be hypothermic or anything like that. I'm very careful about what gets wet, what stays dry, that sort of thing. So we'll start here. So I'll be wearing a pair of socks when I go. Plus I'll bring 3 other pairs of socks for hiking. This basically lets me have a rotation of wet socks to dry socks. Every day I feel like I'm hanging these up to dry. So with 3 pairs plus the one I'm wearing, there's always at least 1 pair of socks that's going to be dry enough, clean enough to wear. And I also bring, this is going to be weird after I say my next piece, but sleeping socks. So I don't know why, but I prefer to have a nice fluffy pair of socks when I'm sleeping, summer or winter. I think it's just when your feet are constantly wet all day while portaging, to be able to take off your boots and put on a nice fluffy warm pair of socks, fresh pair, and sleep in them, it makes a world of difference. So I'll be wearing underwear when I go. Obviously, I only bring one more pair of underwear. So on a 8-day trip, I have 2 pairs of underwear. These get washed every day and hung up. And I find, most days they're dry by the time you put on your freshest pair. Sometimes they're not. I don't tend to mind wet underwear as much as wet socks. I find my feet start to hurt a lot when I'm constantly wearing wet socks. Maybe I'll bring 2 pair, but usually it's just a single extra pair. I bring 2 bandanas, sometimes 3. I usually have them rolled up like this one here around my neck. You can dip them in the water as you paddle, put them around your neck, and that will cool you off as you're going. Dip it, and you can put it around your neck before the portages, that sort of thing. These are just spares. You can use them as towels to wash your pot sets, or you can filter for coffee, which I tend to do quite a bit with my bandanas anyway, because I don't bring a percolator. So you can use one of them for coffee and the other 2 for sweat and cooling purposes. So really, I'll start with what I wear. So these are, I don't even know what material they are, some sort of synthetic, but they're pants that zip off into shorts. So I just bring a single pair of pants, whether it's a 1-day, 4-day, 8-day trip. It's a single pair of pants, usually worn as shorts, and I just bring the legs with me. At night when it's cool, the bugs come out, I just zip my pant legs on. This material dries, like it seems like near instantly. So really you only need the 1 pair of pants. I told you earlier I don't bring rain pants, because essentially these are like my rain pants. And they dry out within, half hour being at camp. So one pair of pants. I usually bring the t-shirt I'd be wearing into the park, plus a spare t-shirt. And I always bring this shirt as well. It's almost the same material as this. It dries really quickly, so you can wear it every day. You sweat in it, it gets smelly, but you can wash it and it dries out, in like half an hour. So it's just a short sleeve, light shirt, but it has pockets and whatnot. So I wear it so I can put my knife in my pocket, etc. So I wear that every day over top of a t-shirt that I exchange. For sweaters, this is like a quilted kind of material. So it's just like basically a long sleeve t-shirt, maybe a little thicker than a t-shirt. So this is my first long sleeve shirt that I've shown you. It's, for the not so cool evenings. I also bring this. It's like a fleece long sleeve. This, if I don't need to wear it because it's cool, I then use it as a pillow. So I'll just roll this up and stuff it into my hammock, and then that's what I'll use in the evening. If it gets super cool, I forgo the pillow and I put this on. I've started to now, my hat. I always bring a wide brim hat. It makes a world of difference when the sun's not beating down on your face all day, every day. After 6-7 days of sunlight on your face, you'd be surprised at how low your morale can get. Wide brim hat is a must, especially also when it's raining. So if you're not wearing a hat when it's raining all day, constantly being pelted in the face with water will drive you insane. So wide brim hat, as long as it's not driving rain, it should be kept out of your face. I have been bringing this lately. I don't know if you can really tell, but it is a down jacket, Mountain Hardwear. So I also bring this. It crumples down to almost absolutely nothing, and I put it in with my sleeping bag in a dry sack. So you crush it down there with the sleeping bag. You don't even know you have it. Weighs nothing, but I find I end up sleeping in this. You must keep it dry, because as soon as down gets wet, it's useless. But I bring this to sleep in. So usually I can forego the sweater or the light long sleeve t-shirt, use this as a pillow and t-shirt and this jacket, and I'm warm enough. So this is basically all the clothes I bring. I wear this section here, and then all of this gets stuck into a dry sack, and really it's one of the smaller pieces of gear I have in my bag. So the last little bit of gear that I haven't shown is my camera and camera case. So this is the camera case. I believe I've shown it before on some trips. So the camera I'm using fits in here nicely with several spare batteries. So this would be a spare battery for my Activion, and I have the battery in the camera plus 3 more and some SD cards. So really that's all I need to film an 8-day trip so far. It works out perfectly. So this is the Activion camera I have, very much like a GoPro. I have a waterproof case and some other accessories for that. But this is, the selfie stick plus other camera. Okay, so I grabbed my other camera, and I just want to show, this is the other camera I've been using, a JVC Vario. Shoots in HD, what have you. So this is typically what I do most of my filming with, but it is not waterproof, obviously, so that's when I would use the Activion. So this one I've had several years now. Most of my videos have been done on it, and it's perfect. It actually fits well into a little custom case I've made, and you can bang it around and get it wet, and it doesn't weigh a terrible amount. And last but not least, this is the canoe that I take with me. I think it's been featured in quite a few trips, but it is a Prospector 16.6 Langford canoe. So I have the pads here for on the car. I leave them on while it's in the garage. You can see it's a Langford canoe. I have it hung up in the garage here so it's out of the way. But it's an excellent canoe. Very light. Has held up well, and I can't complain. It's excellent. You can see the reinforced pieces, and then these pieces here, quite flimsy. You can see my fingers through them, but the floor is reinforced. It's just an excellent boat to paddle, very fast, very agile, and very light to portage. So you can see it's had quite a bit of use, but it's been an excellent boat, and I feel no need to replace it. A couple scratches and whatnot, but overall, I'm very happy with the purchase and how this baby handles. Okay, everyone, that's my the gear that I bring on my canoe and portage trips. The only difference in a 1 day, 1 week, a 2 week trip is really the amount of food that I bring. So depending on if it's a small sack or a large backpack or a barrel full of food, that's the only difference. All the other gear stays the same. So thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions or comments or reviews of any of the equipment I use, I would be glad to hear that, so leave them in the comments. And hopefully see you out there in the park. Bye for now.